Welcome back to Fire Princess Reviews. I'm Fire Princess Lily here to tell you about comics, cartoons, and other awesome nerd things. So, as mentioned in our last video, if you watched our last video, we're talking about another comic today, but today we're not talking about an X-Men comic, which I seem to talk about a lot. I don't know, it's just something I'm into. Look, it's okay to have favorites, right? Everybody's got a favorite. But today we're going to talk about, actually, yes, one of my more favorite comics. Like, well, it's up there. I like it. As like, I got a lot of favorites, so it's really hard. It's like, this isn't in my top 10, but I still really like it. But let's talk about this. Before we get into the review, while I do like this comic, appreciate this comic, and do even recommend it, and while this video is family friendly, this comic is not. Does it have violence? Yes. So do a lot of comics. Does it have blood? Yes, but so do a lot of comics. What does it have that makes it not family friendly? Nudity. There is some surprise. I mean, I should have expected it from the first cover of the comic. Is definitely tantalizing in a way, but I don't know, just didn't expect it. I don't know why. I'm surprised. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Mirka Rodolfo's comic Unnatural, which first was a French comic and has been being translated by Image into an American comic, or it had some. Anyway, look, she's French. The comic was French. It's now It's now in English. Boom. I'm not sure if it finished in France. I don't know. I don't have the information, but I do know at least that much. So, what is Unnatural about? Let's talk about this. But like I said, super. I like it. It's a good comic from Image. The character designs are really great, and I like the artwork, and it's snappy. And the dialogue is, well, there's like a lot of supervillain level dialogue in this because there's bad guys, and we'll talk about that too. But so while I like a lot of the parts of this comic, and while I would suggest it to another adult because it has some really interesting messages about love and acceptance of love and etc., I want to repeat this as hard as I can. I cannot suggest this for any child at all. I don't care how mature you think your 10-year-old is. No, just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, there. All right, let's get into this. So we'll use this. Our main character is Leslie. She's the one in the middle there. Yes, as you might have noticed, they are anthropomorphized characters. Does this make it a furry comic? Well, I mean, for the metaphors it needs to use, this is how it's using it. Think of Zootopia. Yes, there is a metaphor for racism in this comic, and about judging people by past actions of people who look like them. So, yes, there is a big metaphor for racism and interracial marriage, and also gay marriage. Like, look, there's a lot going on in this, right? So, Leslie is a pig. Now, in this world, since she's a pig, she has to date, be romantically involved with another pig. A male pig can't be gay, okay? Not cool in this world. You would think that particularly wouldn't matter, but it does, because in this world, getting married, having kids, all that jazz, super important, right? In fact, once you reach 25, you are entered into a program that will find you your perfect match from your species. Don't think about it. You can always opt to not be on this program, but if you're not on this program, the government charges you an exorbitant amount of money until you find somebody on your own. Right? It's a whole thing. Leslie lives with a roommate. I forget her particular name, but she's a mouse, and she has a best friend who's a goat. Yeah, and he's gay, so it's a whole thing, right? Boom. That's her life. Now, Leslie herself wants to be a good citizen, etc., whatever. She's not too big on the whole marriage, whatever, and whatnot, but government duties are government duties, right? Of course. You gotta pump out another cute. But she's been having a bunch of weird dreams about a wolf. And not, I mean, in a really super friendly way. Yeah, those kind of dreams. And so, she's worried about it. She's worried about, what does this mean about me? I just want to be a good citizen. I want to marry a fellow pig, and, you know, do my part. Well, kind of. She's not quite like that. But she doesn't want to be, you know, unnatural, a pervert, a freak. There's just a lot of parallels here. She doesn't want to be like that. So, she just tries to push it out of her mind as, you know, just dreams. But maybe there's something more there. Now, it is her 25th birthday, so she is entered into the program. She goes on a date with another pig who turns out to be a total jerk. Because of course he is. Because he's actually a bad guy. Because there's something special about Leslie that this secret society wants. She is like the reincarnation of a very important character named Bess. Or Bez. It's B-E-S. So, yeah. And the wolf she's been dreaming about is also another important figure in their society, or at least the past of their society, called the albino, because he's a white wolf, but he has like supernatural powers. He's like a primal force, the whole thing. And so, in order to try to get Bess's energy and the albino's energy from her, they construct an elaborate whole thing. It's total, like, whole thing. Her roommate starts looking into the dreams as well, like, you know, about things. She finds out about a city or an old town that was, in fact, like, not run by the government, and therefore there could be mixed species relationships, and it was totally cool, whatever. But she gets too close to the information and she dies. Who's suspect number one? It's Leslie. And that's no good. Stays with her gay goat friend because, you know, her roommate said she really cared for her roommate. And he dies. He dies for reasons. I'm not going to spoil it other than he dies. Sorry. Because this is when the plot really kind of kicks into high gear. Now, there's another character who looks like the albino, who is apparently like his genetic ancestor or whatever, has like certain powers, not all of them, but he saves Leslie and takes her to a place where they kind of explain all this to her, like, oh, she's this and that and whatever. Anyway, so now Leslie is on the run, not for one death, but 2 deaths, because they were close to her, and there's this entire fabrication that she was trying to pursue her roommate into an unnatural relationship. And it's a whole thing, right? So it's not over yet, it's not finished. Lots of stuff is happening. There are 8 issues out currently, and I would take the time to read them because it's got a lot to say about how society perceives marriages that aren't necessarily regular, right? Like, sure, we have, as a society, gotten used to interracial marriages, right? But there's a whole portion of society that's super loud, right? Maybe they're not the majority, at least vocally, but they don't like that, right? You see it all the time. Right? And sort of like using the lie that Leslie was trying to force her roommate into this kind of unnatural relationship. We're also talking a little bit about LGBT relationships in the world and how society views them, because that's an entire different kettle of fish, which is, I don't know where I heard that saying, but it is a horse of a different color. So this comic has a lot to say about that, and maybe things aren't okay when people do this, right? It's not good. I don't know what's all the light and why it's just like blazing off my skin, glowing. But whew. Anyway, so that's why I would read it, because that's why I picked it up. I didn't know there was going to be all this nudity and whatever in it. Like, not necessarily the draw to me. It was more about saying these things about society in general and how we review relationships that we might find unnatural. And that's why I think it's a good book. So there is that. I know I repeated some points, but hey, that's what I'm here for, I guess. So it's as mentioned, it's from Image, 8 issues. Check it out. It's not finished. There is a trade paperback of the first 5 issues. If I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken. So that's that. So what are we going to talk about next time? Next time, I would like to talk about the West Coast Avengers. I know, another Marvel property, but it's not X-Men. Why don't I talk about DC properties, you might be asking? Well, because I'm really behind on reading DC, and I really only read 1 or 2 things by them. I read Wonder Woman, I read Titans, and I read Teen Titans. Now, other cool comics are coming out. I can't wait to talk about the Wonder Twins, or Dial H for Hero, or Shazam. Can't wait. We're going to talk about those eventually. But for now, I haven't caught up in my backlog of stuff. So, don't think I'm just over here schlecking for Marvel or whatever. Obviously, I just did an Image comic. We talked about Boom Box Comics for a while. In fact, scratch that. We're not going to talk about the West Coast Avengers. As much as I love that book, we're going to talk about Adventure Time Season 11, which is in comic form, and what's going on there. Or maybe we'll talk about Marcy and Simon, still Boombox Studios comic, just because I want to, like, show you all that I'm not just here talking Marvel all the time. But yeah, so we're going to do one of those too. And then maybe we'll talk about Fruit Baskets the video after, which means I'm going to have to go back and watch Fruit Baskets. So, why would we talk about that? It's an old anime because it's just a remastered version or a remade version is coming out. It's already out. Go watch it. It's good. Anyway, bye. Bye. Well, actually, until next time, love comics, love cartoons, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!